Welcome to the Starting Over podcast. I'm your host, Edward Shelton, aka Dark Logos, and this is the show where we look at the strategies, tactics, and mechanics behind the game of heroclix. All right. Thanks for everybody that commented on the last episode. I know that some people might have been confused, like, hey, I put some comments up, it got deleted, blah 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 blah. I put some stuff here, and then you're like, hey, there was a correction video. Yeah, there's just a lot of stuff that went down. So thank you for everybody's patience with that. We're also approaching episode 200. I know that sounds weird, me saying it. So tell me what you all are interested in having on episode 200. Now, most of you would be asking, like, hey, Dark Logos, why aren't we having, like, a review of Joker's Wild? I just did a preview over most of the stuff that's in Joker's Wild, in the preview thread, mind you. And there's still a good chunk that is missing. Stuff that I can't really say, like, oh, yeah, this is going to be completely unimportant. Definitely when you're probably looking at Johnny and Jakeem Thunder as like major players in the future of this game. Those characters historically have been really good, and so to say that they're not going to be good right now with all the weird JSA stuff, I can't say that. So, because of that, I'm not going to do a review until I get like an actual complete list. I know some other people might jump the gun just a little bit, and that's fine. Feel free to listen to their reviews. Come back and listen to mine, and I think everybody will have a good time that way. But there's some key things that I think we need to talk about that has arrived and arisen from Joker's Wild that I wouldn't say is the hyper serious business, but we really need to start actually talking about. And most of you might be wondering, what that is, and to what degree does this change how you play heroclix? Well, in all honesty, the issue is our new point and dial issue. Our point and dial issue. Now, let me elaborate on this. A lot of figures that we're getting in Joker's Wild are sub 100. I mean, there are some that are over 100, but a majority of the figures are sub 100. Okay, and even when you're looking at a couple of figures from the last few sets, we're seeing a lot of sub 100 point figures. Okay, now for a lot of people, this doesn't mean much. Okay, and you want to know why it doesn't mean much? Because they're like, hey, I've gotten my 50 bazillion Supermans and Batmans. I want to put them all on one team, and that's understandable. That's fully understandable how you want to put all your Batmans, your Supermans, Wonder Womans, your Green Lanterns, Flashes, Cyborgs, and whoever else is on the Justice League at that moment on one comprehensive 300-point team. Fully understand that, okay? The problem that I feel that is a real reality is that this game at 300 points is not designed for a force that exceeds 4 core figures. It's really not. And unless these additional figures, have stuff like the drones or the Pogs from not Demonicus, the Pogs from Devil Dinosaur, where the actions don't count against your action total, or you have a team ability that allows for move actions that don't count against your action total, or you have a lot of leadership, a stacked deck full of weenies is not a good idea. So let's sort of break down the current design problem. What that means now, what that's going to imply in the future, and some things that we need to be looking out for. So we're just going to give ourselves a little bit of note now, look at now, the future, and then, you know, stuff to look out for. So let's do this. All right, what's the big problem now? The big problem now is the game has too many guys that come in and without stat bumps can one-shot a majority of these figures. Okay, let's go back, everyone. A couple episodes, and I started bringing up the beginning of this problem, and I said, you know, let's look at Civil War, the OP kit, Civil War. And I want you to look at a nice common figure, Miss Marvel. Okay. Miss Marvel is 80 points. Has super strength, charge, 4 range, 3 damage. Now, most people are going to look at Miss Marvel and say, like, well, whatever, Miss Marvel, she's not that good. Okay. You know, she's not that good, Edward. Why are you even bringing her up? Okay, she has 3 damage. She has the ability to pick up a heavy. All right. Now, let's look at not Manhunter. Manhunter's not fair. That's not fair. You know what? Let me get a little bit better figure. Okay. Let's see. Somebody close to that poise for you. Okay, Jason Todd. Okay, let's look at Jason Todd. All right. Jason Todd out of Joker's Wild. And I know this is not a preview review, but I'm bringing this up for good reason. Jason Todd is 17 defense, super senses. He is 5 clicks deep. He only has some sort of evasion on his first click. He has outwit and charge, and that's great, but he only has a 17 defense. Now, with 5 clicks of life, barring the fact that Jason Todd outwits super strength off of Miss Marvel for 10 points more can functionally one-shot Jason Todd. Now, some of you might say, yeah, that's what should happen, and I really don't disagree. If you look at the history of those two characters, but really, when you think about it, how did 10 points get you Jason Todd, which has a 4 range? And you also could say, well, Miss Marvel also has a 4 range. All right, so that's comparable. 9 movement. Okay, 9 movement here with charge. Both of them have charge. Okay, 10 attack. All right, 10 attack. 17 defense. Cool, 17 defense. Nothing on the damage power for Miss Marvel, but there's that lofty outwit, and then you're looking at your big issue. And that is 17 super senses versus 17 invul. Real big difference, okay? Now, we can start to see some disparity here. Powers like super strength, powers like invulnerability and impervious, hell, even toughness actually matter more. Now, when we start looking at this point disparity and this immediate problem, I know everybody's like, oh my gosh, how can you just bring up Miss Marvel? She's not that bad, really. She's a common, blah, 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 blah. But again, Miss Marvel being a common shows you that she's on the lower end of the power scale. The lower end of the power scale. All right. So let's go within the OP kit Civil War. Let's go up just a bit. Let's go to here we go. We're going to the super rares. And I'm going to bring up a figure that most people would be like, this dude is a joke. Why are you bringing him up as an example? Just bear with me. Okay, for 90 points, we have Atlas. And I know all of you are like, this dude is a joke. Why are you bringing him up? He's not that good. No one plays Atlas. And that's fine. He doesn't have super strength. Okay, that's cool. He does have impervious. He has an 18 defense. He is a giant, so he does have giant reach too. He has a base 4 damage, and he also, on his second click, has access to flurry, and then you can potentially place a character that you hit. Okay, now, this guy here is moderate, but he's also a super rare. Harder to get, this, that, and the other, yakety smackety. He's 6 clicks deep, 90 points. He has upfront Quake, so he's able to, take on a bunch of different figures and do 2 damage to them. Or he could just say, hey, man, I just smacked one guy for 4. Damage output is slightly lower than Miss Marvel, just for the fact of, Miss Marvel could pick up a heavy and do 5, but he can do a consistent 4 if he stays on top click, and then goes down to, 3, then some close combat expert, and then finally ends with some sidestep Quake 3 damage. Alright. Now, he's coming in at 90 points, 6 clicks deep, full dial of damage reduction, plus Masters of Evil, which just pretty much allows you to burn him out to do a lot of damage. Okay, just do a lot of damage. And so let's look at something slightly comparable from Joker's Wild, for around that 90, that 80 to 100 point value range. And you know what? I'll just go on up. I think, what's his name? And again, people, this is not necessarily a 1-to-1 ratio. Like, hey, look, here's a super rare here. Then, here is over here is another super rare. Look, just watch. This stuff is jacked up. But I really am trying to show you, like, look, man, there's some problems. Where is it? Okay. All right. So here we're gonna go. We're gonna look. Gosh, I thought this was something else. All right. So we're going to look at Mr. Freeze. That's it. Here we go. Mr. Freeze. Okay. We're again around the same points. Let's first look at this. All right. We have sidestep and 5 range, so that functionally gives us a 7 swing. When we look at Atlas, we have a 6 swing because we have 4 move charge plus giant reach 2. Okay, so we're in about the same area. Okay. Then we have 11 attack. Okay, well, Atlas is giving us a 10 attack, 18 defense and vuln. All right, cool. I mean, impervious up front. So yeah, there's that. 3 damage, but we do have Indom. All right, versus the Masters of Evil, just allowing us to keep pushing. But then we go into toughness. Okay, you do have the ability to heal yourself with Freeze, with his defensive power, and then Mr. Freeze is able to debuff adjacent friendly characters, opposing characters, attacking damage values by 1. But when you start looking at damage output and some level of consistency, this 3 damage that Freeze has is rather nice, but really can't compete with how the damage is being dealt out from Atlas. Like, Atlas is completely dominating him. Now, you take these 2 super rares and you ask them, hey, now go fight some standard stuff from the last few sets. From Wolverine and not Wolverine and X-Men, Uncanny X-Men, Civil War, movie set, even World's Finest is sort of pushing it because, well, yeah, World's Finest, Superman, Wonder Woman, we started to see a little bit of it, but it really started to come out in Nick Fury, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., where we start to see these weenies start to bleed into the meta. I know, again, hey, Patrick's going to come through the internet and slap me from my use of that, but, so sue me for right now. When we start asking ourselves, some legit questions, the first legit question is, all right, how's a character with, 3 clicks, with 4 or 5 clicks of life going to stand up to a character that's able to constantly do 3 to 5 to 6 clicks of damage? Okay. And that's going to lead into one of the bigger problems, Super Rare Spider-Man. Now, most of you right now are probably going to be like, Dark Logos, you're on that stuff again. There's really nothing wrong with Super Rare Spider-Man. He's not OP in comparison to some other things that are out there. Why is Super Rare Spider-Man a problem? Indicative of what's going on right now. Well, let me sort of break some things down to you. Okay. All right. Now, Super Rare Spider-Man has a base damage of 3. Okay. Now, what have we established? If I have 5 clicks of life, that means that on average it's going to take 2 attacks for you to knock me out if I don't have any damage reduction. Okay, but Super Rare Spider-Man being 100 points exactly allows him to do something really magical. It allows him to pick up Ultra Heavies, which is able to make his damage go from 3 to 6 really fast. It's something that every player can guarantee that's on the board, that object is on the board if they play Super Rare Spider-Man. So it's a guaranteed +3 buff on a damage for 1 attack. Okay. Now you could say, well, what if I go in and I outwit the super strength and blah, 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 and this, that, and the other? Well, cool, great for you. Okay. But I'm just saying, in a general situation, this is what's going to happen. Okay. Now, when we take a deeper look, let's just say, for right now, Super Rare Spider-Man is going against, how about this? I'm scrolling through, let's say Talon. Okay, Talon, number 38 Talon. Okay. Quarter Owls, Gotham City Assassin, Martial Arts keyword. Now, most of you would say, but hey, Dark Logos, unless there's an outwit, there is no way for Spider-Man, who's 100 points, to KO Talon, who's 120 points, who starts with toughness. That is correct. Also, Talon has shape change, okay, which also can come into play. All right. So I'm just putting that out there. All right. Now, let's just say, for hypothetical, not just like real gameplay, 1 in 3 chance of not being targetable by Spider-Man or whatever. No outwits or anything like that. You come through, okay? Spider-Man hypersonic speeds up. He has a couple of cool options. Option number 1, because he has this Ultra Heavy, he can choose to perplex up his attack from an 11 to a 12. That is advantage number 1. Okay, now what that does is it promptly makes that 18 defense that Talon had from being sort of respectable to really in the favor of the attacker, which is Spider-Man. Okay, next up, 1 solid hit for 6 damage, taking 5, will put Talon on his last click. Okay, which is a piddly 19 defense. Sorry, a 9 attack, 16 defense with a 2 damage. All right. Now, you could say, but Dark Logos, now Spider-Man's damage output is greatly reduced because now he's back to a base 3 damage again, tokened and whatever else. Well, let's just say Talon is also, untokened. He now has to spend an action to regenerate. And let's just say he does a maximum regenerate and he heals up 4. So he goes back up 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so he's back up again. He's in a good position. Okay. Now, he's got the shape change back. He's got some toughness. He's feeling a little bit good, a little bit better, not able to hit as hard. But Spider-Man ignores Precision Strike, so the attack value and movement value of Talon is a lot less, and he's trying to fight Hyper Spidey. Now, let's just say again, Hyper Spidey comes back through. This time, again, no object, okay? But he perplexes up his damage, and he'll hit. And he'll hit for 4, but again, there's toughness, so there'll only be, he'll only take 3. And again, he'll put Talon on regen. Now, the first click of regen, not necessarily second, dip out. Now, here's the issue. Talon would have to regen back up, hopefully get a max regen, to get back up to a point to actually fight Hyper Spidey and push to do so, okay? Now, is this to say that, of course, Talon I think is a rare and Hypersonic Spidey is a super rare, and that the point values and stuff is not necessarily equitably balanced because, of course, Spider-Man being a super rare, everything is a little bit cheaper on his for his figures. Yeah, but that's in part why I picked Talon, because Talon is 20 points more than Hyper Spidey, so it should be a little bit more comparable in combat. Okay, so when we really look at this, we have a figure that is 6 clicks deep, that is easily taken out by a figure that's of less points. And, this figure has decent damage reduction, not the best, has decent stats, not the best, decent attacks, not the best, but you can see how really quickly this figure can get, I would say, just neutered and incapacitated out of the development of the game. Now, take that and ramp it up, and you start looking at some of these other figures that are 20s to 70 points. Okay, let's take, for example, the Manhunter, for example. And I know you're going to say, well, Hypersonic Spidey is more than double the point of Manhunter. Correct. He is more than double the points of Manhunter. But the question comes in is, okay, Hyper Spidey with one heavy, or heck, even, just picking up a light and perplexing up his damage. One shots a Manhunter and is out of retaliation range, most likely of any other Manhunter that is, around there to try to shoot him. Or at least someplace safe, utilizing some wildcard TA to make him harder to hit. Okay. Now, you can even look at, let's just say, hey, 25-point Alan Pratt. Hey, Spider-Man comes in, perplexes up his attack to a 12, 12 to a 19, needing a 7. Okay, cool. It's 50-50. Still, yes, one shot isn't available from base stats, but hey, I pick up a light. That's over. We are seeing now, in this immediate situation, that the stuff that's being released in the last few sets is really sending a hard swing to super strength, like a hard, dumb level swing to super strength. Now, some people might say, does this put us back in the Ghost Rider Heroes for Hire meta? No, because that was a situation where you were able to pretty much get off an attack, then get off another attack, and then get off a third attack with no damage depletion modifier. And usually, if you're able to do that, stuff is dead. Okay, but let's sort of like grind my point home a little bit more. Okay. So I know some people might also be thinking in the background, but hey, Dark Logos, there's also characters that have like Psychic Blast and then 4 base damage and whatever else. And so what does that do about them? Because they pretty much just murk a lot of these other little pieces too. Okay, and what we'll do is we'll, in brief, come and deal with that, and then we'll go back to looking at like Uncanny X-Men and just sort of bring back the point of how like all these like little point figures are going to be a problem. So I want you to go and use your heroclix piece of looker upper of choice, and I want you to just look up for Psychic Blast, penetrating Psychic Blast, and then I want you to look for 4 damage, and then we're going to do on first click only. And I want to sort of like drive this home. All right, so when we look at on first click only, and you can see how like this really is shifting towards super strength and not Psychic Blast. All right, so let's look here. We have Mephisto, like fat Mephisto, not skinny Mephisto, fat, globby Mephisto. He's 240 points. We got the Captain America Sentinel at 200, and while I love it, no one's playing him. Okay, and then let me see. I may have made one small mistake in my lookup because I think I put equal to. So let me make sure that I didn't mess up. Now, and again, I want you to understand. that I am just looking for Psychic Blast on first click. I'm not looking for any number in particular. And then I'm looking for greater than or equal to 4. Okay? And I am looking on first click only because if you get it mid-dial, I really don't care. Okay? And I'm looking at modern age because that's really what's really in effect right now. Okay, so we got Cap Sentinel coming in at 200 points. We have Dark Angel coming in at 200 points. We have Cameron Hodge coming in at 200 points. We have Zog. Zog is like a 5 range coming in at 150 points for representing Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. We have Zombie Galactus at 1,000 points, so that really does not count whatsoever. We have Alkema at 150. No one's playing her. Quasar at 225. When's the last time someone played Quasar locally? Okay. Ultron 18.2, the full robot. Nobody plays that. Ultron Phalanx, 300 points. Nobody plays that. Grandmaster at 240 points. Nobody plays that. Okay. Thor at 150 points from the Fast Forces original. No one plays that. Okay, like you're starting to get the trend here. Loki from Avengers Symbol. Nobody plays that. Like, this sounds like a really bad rap. Okay, like just look. If you just keep going through, you're going to see like, oh, okay, here's the first thing someone might play. White Lantern, Martian Manhunter at 100. No running shot. Okay, you have surprise support Sinestro. Nobody plays that. Okay, Batman, Dawn of Justice, 150 point Superman. I'm guessing that's the freaking bust through the wall soups, angry eye soups. Nobody plays them at that point value. Okay, Major Force, nope. Supergirl, 200 points. Like Spectre. Spectre is the cheapest figure coming in at 130 points so far. Well, no, take it back. Martian Manhunter is at 100. But out of like a big hitters, it's Spectre. You know, like Brutal, 175. Like, you're getting the point, people. Like, Psychic Blast is not cost efficient for the damage output that's being thrown out right now. Okay? And I know there's going to be somebody just like, but Dark Logos, you know, this is a range-based game. It's always going to be a range-based game, and range will always win perpetually, forever and ever, until all times. But here, like I said, if we're starting to look at the adjustments, Super Strength has a strong case. It really does. And here's why. Okay, let's look at the first reasonable 11 attack, 4 damage Psychic Blast. Okay, because we're still dealing with damage reduction, people. Okay, we're still dealing with all sorts of cool stuff. So, all right, here we go. Martian Manhunter. He has a functional swing of 9. That's it. He has a functional swing of 9. 11 attack, 4 damage. He has a stop click. Yeah, he has a stop click. And he himself is he himself is 6 clicks deep. Okay, so he's able to partially inflate his life due to a stop click. But if any other like major attacker came in and decided to blast Martian Manhunter with, penetrating Psychic Blast for base value of 4, okay, base value of 4, it would not kill Martian Manhunter. If they were to use their base values, they would have to attack Martian Manhunter 3 times. Once to do the first initial 4 damage, then a second, then it'll hit a stop click, and then the third to kill him off of his stop click if he wasn't able to regenerate. Okay? Pure and simple. All right. Now, if we sort of come back and we look at this situation, what do we have to do to increase our damage using Psychic Blast to kill Martian Manhunter? Okay. And again, like I said, I'm just using him as an example here, since he is falling, in this like, hey, I'm going to use reasonable price Psychic Blast to fight these people. But if we're looking, what would you have to do to like get good damage in on Martian Manhunter? You're going to have to pack in power. So, I mean, not power, enhancement. So that's 15 points at the cheapest. Perplex, which is 15 points at the cheapest. You're going to have to stack stuff up to get more damage output. And to sort of, I think, sort of quote, what's his name? Somebody was on, Adam Friedman. Adam Friedman was on, I think, Clickstuff or Critical Clicks. And he went and lamented on and saying, like, what's the most overpowered thing in the game? And he said, ultra heavy object. That's pretty much it, because you don't pay for ultra heavy object, and it gives you an immediate, just dumb level stat bump. Okay, so if you hit with like little or no investment, and again using Spider-Man as this example, will you still need 3 attacks to hit and kill Martian Manhunter? Yep, if you use Spider-Man. If you have anybody with charge exploit, how many attacks will it take to kill Martian Manhunter? 2. Charge, exploit, super strength takes 2. Because you'll pick up that object, you'll hit for 5, you'll put him on the stop click, and then it's like, oh, he's on the stop click. Okay, cool. One more hit from whoever, dead. Okay, so I'm just pointing this out because, like I said, the Psychic Blast argument doesn't really stand up. That Psychic Blast is going to come in and save the day. There is one figure that can be Psychic Blast that wasn't talked about, that wasn't in this list. That's John Greycrow. And John Greycrow is probably like one of the most economic Psychic Blasts you can get, but he doesn't do 3 damage. He doesn't do 4 damage. He does 3 damage, and that's really part of where the huge problem is. So let's go ahead and look at X-Men, and hey, we might as well just talk about John Greycrow here, since we're here. We have all these characters in this range of like 40 to like 70 something points, and look here, John Greycrow, easily one-shotted by 5 damage. Like easily one-shotted by 5 damage. You're almost tempted to push to click 2 so that you could potentially, might buffer a storm, if somebody drops something on you, but that's it. Willpower up front is great. I'm not going to say it's a horrible thing. 7 range is great. I'm not going to say it's a horrible thing. He eats an object. He has Psychic Blast. Ooh, great. That's awesome. Free penetration. Or you can eat it, a light and get, precision strike. That's great. But if we look at it, easy to KO. Okay, let's look at Vanisher, for example. 5 clicks deep. Easy to KO. Wolverine. Wrong Wolverine. I'm looking. I was like, I knew. There we go. Here we go. Wolverine, 50 points. Again, someone gets past his combat reflexes up front. Really easy to KO. Just boom, done. And then how are you doing this? Super strength. Super strength. Boom, you're done. Okay, so this is our like new dilemma. Now let's for example, let's take let's go ahead. Let's look up some. Let's do a little thought experiment here. And I didn't do this ahead of time, so whatever the results are, I didn't I'm leading all towards this. Let's do modern age in the range of, since we're talking about, I'm gonna do 40 to 120 points. Super strength on first click. So yeah, we're on a super strength on first click. Attack value greater than or equal to 10, because 10 is our average. But you know what? Yeah, greater than equal to 10, and then damage output greater than or equal to 3. Now, this is very borderline. Okay, and we're only looking on first click only. Boom. Okay. Let's see which figures show up. And again, I'm looking specifically from 40 points to 120 points. Okay. Now you might say, well, why am I looking in this range? Because before, when we start entering the golden ratio, it used to be between 100 to 120. Now that we've had this reset, it's really about 80 to 120. 120 is the high end. But since we're seeing a bunch of low point figures, if we're seeing, hey, are there cheapo spam guys that could possibly come in with super strength? Now I know somebody might say, oh yeah, hey, the Namor Pog, forget about that. Yeah, no, I didn't forget about the Namor Pog from Rick Jones. That thing can be stupid if you actually set it up right. But I'm going to leave that alone for right now. Okay, so let's look at what we got here. We got Rogue from the prize support coming in at 99 points, and this one automatically just starts to yell, yeah, we have a problem with super strength. So 99 points. She has charge and sidestep, so with a 9 movement, which means her swing is 7. She's 7 clicks deep, so she's above average. Clicks of health. She does have toughness, so yeah, hey, that's a little bit of a problem. She has super strength. She has 4 damage, and she has the power take who you are when Rogue hits an opposing character. Choose an attack or defense after actions resolved. You may choose to replace her current value with the hit character's printed combat value of the chosen type, and she can use that character's the hit character's power of the chosen type. This effect lasts until she chooses to replace her combat values again. So yes, so functionally, if Rogue does hit somebody with a higher attack value and better powers, she could replace her super strength with something that's more useful, or keep her super strength and just replace her attack until she chooses again. So really, her powers are her stats are almost pointless, because she could just replace them with anything higher. So is Rogue broken? No. And then again, she could pick better defensive powers too. So she could pick Impervious or Combat Reflexes or Energy Shield or whatever heck else. But for what she does, with the new meta, she's above average. And I know some people might not have viewed that Rogue as above average, but yeah, because functionally she can one-shot stuff. She can pick up an she can't pick up an ultra heavy, but she can pick up a heavy and do 6 clicks of damage. So right there, she's a one-shotter. Okay. And then even if you take some of the other characters and you do a combination attack with 1 perplex and 1 outwitting damage reduction, perplexing up her damage to 5, she's one-shotting stuff. Okay, so we got Spider-Ham, who, for again 99 points. We have Venom at 120 points, prize support Venom, with coming in with an 11 attack and defend and shape change. Don't really like that combo as much. Red Hulk. You can start to see another reason why Patrick would use Red Hulk at 100 points. Red Hulk, in this case, at 100 points, can pick up an Ultra Heavy. Of course, we have, let's see, Spider-Man #1 from Superior Foes. We have Cottonmouth. Remember I was talking about Cottonmouth before with his like sneak attack thing? Yeah, and don't forget the charge on that too. 10 attack, 4 damage. You know, that's really good. Spider-Gwen, 95 points. Can't pick up an Ultra Heavy, though. That sort of sucks. Again, hey, here's Miss Marvel. Here's Hulkling, which sort of bodes well for Hulkling since his other incarnations really suck, and this is not the greatest figure either. Stature, 8 clicks of health. Super strength, 4 damage, really hard to take down in the current meta at 80 points. Like, no one is thinking about this. She has 18 defense on 3 of her clicks, 17 on the rest, 16 on her last click. Yeah, like, that's good stuff. Okay. Here we go. 50-point Colossus. He picks up a heavy. And again, the whole combo outwit plus I pick up a super, pick up a heavy. Now I'm one-shotting people. Okay, so blockbuster. Here we go. Charge, super string, 3 damage. And here's other thing I really want to point out as well is that a majority of these characters that have super strength have charge. Like, I didn't look for charge super strength. I just was looking for super strength and just accepting, like, okay, super strength is coming in like this. But a majority of the figures that have super strength have charge. And so let's look at Rogue from Uncanny X-Men. I know some people might say, like, oh, okay, she's not that great. But let's look at it. 90 points. Avengers team ability, X-Men team ability, charge with a 9 movement, 11 attack, 4 damage. The steal energy from the energy vampire, and the ability to steal standard power that the character can use. Okay, so she can, like, mod herself up. So there you go. And that's at 90 points. Okay, you have the Chase Colossus at 120. You know, just 11 attack, 4 damage. And heck, as he goes on, he has 4 clicks of 4 damage. Just straight up, like, he has the potential just to wipe people. Okay, Giant Man from Civil War. I know, like, I probably poo-pooed on this figure before, but things have sort of started to change. Okay. Machine Team. Yeah. So let's look at what DC has. Oh yeah. Just for the last joke, D-Man. Because for 84 points, you couldn't have a better joke. Let's see. All right, so prize support Aquaman at 100. He's charged 11 attack, 4 damage, plus some cool traits. Then you have the Kingdom Come Hawkman at 120 is giving you a really good incentive to really look at super strength and charge. 12 attack right there. Yeah, right there. He's going to be a Death Angel. Let's see. Aquaman. Okay, Aquaman is the first one from Batman Dawn of Justice. Is the first one that we can actually say this one could be a game changer for a couple of reasons. Reason number one, if you do get a water map, if you get that Atlantis map, he's God. He's a god. 11 attack and hypersonic speed with super strength. Picking up an ultra heavy for 6. Yeah, he's a god. Okay. The other thing with this one is that he can choose to charge plus use super strength and exploit, which a lot of the other options that we've looked at really didn't have. Okay, so that is there as well. Okay, so he's above average. He is 6 clicks deep at 110 points. So again, yes, he can get retaliated on really well. But like I said, like, he's on a water map. He's dumb. Yeah, see, 100 points. The Fast Forces, Superman, Dawn of Justice, the rookie level. He has super strength. And then the Wonder Woman 2, she has charge and super strength. And let's look here. Iron's 50 points. Okay, so here's a good example. This is a cheap guy that people would probably not look at, from a standard perspective. Iron is cheap. He's 50 points. He's easy to pack onto a team. He has a 10 attack. He's able to pick up a heavy to do 5 damage to knock out anybody that doesn't have damage reduction. Okay, so he's right up there with Colossus. Now I know some people are like, Colossus is a better figure, but okay, fine, whatever. Shifting focus, brick soups. Okay, that's there. You have the prime hypersonic Ivy's influence soups. You have Allura at 75 points, even though I prefer not to say that. And, you know, my OG, World's Finest, because that piece is just dumb for 75 points. Really, I can't even say that's fair to bring up that piece, because World's Finest doesn't have to do melee to one-shot these suckers, which really just sort of more emphasizes like how dumb like World's Finest and Lex Luthor Joker. Those two figures should not have been invented for the way WizKids was going, because both of those figures have the potential to just one-shot little dudes. If you were going to let them be, they shouldn't have had 75-point values. They shouldn't have. Them having 75-point values is cheating. Okay? It just is. Because all you got to do is just, if you bump up World's Finest damage with one perplex, they can one-shot two characters that don't have damage reduction. And in this new meta, like, they can kill more than their points worth. Okay? That's not right. Let's see who else. All right, here's another good deep character. Number 2 Wonder Woman. She has JSA, Amazon. She has Amazon, Justice Society, and Warrior keyword. She has a JSA team ability. She has Charge, 11 attack, Impervious, 17 defense, 4 damage. 100 points, can pick up an Ultra Heavy, do 7 damage. That's a guaranteed one shot on a lot of characters. Okay, and I can sort of keep going, but I'm bringing this up is like, you can see here are all these characters with super strength. Now let's start just like play the Rolodex game with Uncanny X-Men. All right, I'm gonna click random guy. All right, Riptide, and I'm just going to say, like, if you would take 5 damage, are you dead? I'm just going to say dead. Okay, Riptide, dead. Prism, you're dead. Oh no. Prism is okay, but because he only takes a maximum of 1 damage. Prism, you live, but you suck. Okay. Let's see. Cyclops, dead. Okay. Kitty Pryde, dead. Let's keep going. Magneto, Black Suit Magneto, dead. Sabretooth, almost dead. Like, you just see, like, Angel, dead. Iceman, 1 more damage, you're dead. White Suit Magneto. White Suit Magneto, he's a lot stronger than I think people want to give credit for. Like, I think he has a place in the future, but folks are going to sleep on him for at least another year. Sunfire, standard Sunfire, you're dead. You're so dead. But you can start to see like too many of these characters are just dead, and they're not getting any uses. But then, like, okay, let's look at Captain America Civil War movie set. All right, you have figures in the set, and I need to make sure this isn't the star. No, hold on, wait. Okay, yeah, this is the gravity feed. All right, this is what I want to say. All right, yeah, this is what I wanted. All right, so the gravity feed, and I'm looking at the gravity feed first for a reason. All right, so if I hit any majority of these figures, okay, they're going to be able to, if I hit them with 5 damage, majority of these figures are going to live, minus their low point values, like i.e. Iron Man at 60, Captain America at 60. You hit them for 5 damage, they're done. Red Wing, you breathe on him wrong, he's done. But you have, Winter Soldier, he can take it, because he has damage reduction, and he's 6 clicks deep. Giant Man, again, he can take it. He's 6 clicks deep, but he also has really good damage reduction up front. Agent 13, I'm sorry, you won't get to make it to the sequel if you get hit with that 5 damage. Crossbones, he's 6 clicks deep with damage reduction. But again, what are we looking at? You pick up a heavy, some of these characters are dead, some of these characters aren't dead. But, like, hey, 6 clicks, you have a good chance of still living. Iron Man. 6 clicks, you have, Giant Man. 6 clicks, you have a really good chance of still living, Winter Soldier, okay? But you're going to be hurt. Black Panther, you're going to be a black man that makes it to the sequel, okay? All right. Vision, you can't catch a break, man. You can't catch a break. I don't know why they hate Vision so much, because he's so awesome in the movies. He's so awesome in the movies. They just made him trash in the game. I don't know why. All right, so if we go to the starter, look at the starter. Okay, 95-point guys. Okay, they're 6 clicks deep. They'll live. They'll see the sequel. All of them. We'll get to see the sequel. Okay, but here's the problem. You go to their lower point versions, these 45-point versions, they're getting one-shotted by World's Finest. They're getting one-shotted by a lot of things, okay? And some people will say, well, Dark Logos, you played 45 points. They shouldn't be, that great. They should just die, All right, and that's fair. That's a fair assessment. Should a 50-point or less figure or 40-point or less figure be able to survive 3 damage? And that's something that I really think we as a community need to, talk about. But here's the counter argument I want to put up here. If my figure is 45 damage, it's 45 points, 45 damage. Yeah, if my figure is 45 points, and it itself does 3 damage, and it's 3 clicks deep, and it's fighting other characters that are 3 clicks deep, should it have the ability to one-shot other characters just because it had an initiative advantage? So there's some scaling things that aren't really there. Okay, so, and this is, again, we have some problems like, okay, we have ranged dominating and low point, stupid cost, range piece that's 45 points, and I'm looking in this case, Captain America Civil War, Iron Man. Okay, he's 45 points, and he has a 6 range, and he has running shot, and he has 3 damage. And then we can go over here back to Joker's Wild, and we can look at Cobra Fanatic, who's 20 points, and Iron Man can just be like, from downtown, I kill you. Now again, he's 20 points, but again, my Iron Man is 45 points. And I'm still a safe distance away from the Cobra Fanatic. Okay, so like, or you even say, hey, here's Harley Quinn, one-shot Harley Quinn. Okay, that's a problem. Just off the bat, you can say, but Dark Logos, I could spend, a bunch of points. I could spend, 60 points and get 2 Thanagarians, and then, Iron Man wouldn't be able to stop that, and then, the Thanagarians will swarm Iron Man. And I'm like, with 1 damage, man, like, you can make an argument for a thug, too, like the thugs will swarm, ba-doo-ba-doo, and it's like, no, the thugs will just sit there and die. Okay, like, that's all that's going to happen. They're not going to hurt Iron Man, because Iron Man has toughness, so you have to crit hit. So like again, there's some problems here because they're not balanced out, mainly because they're characters with higher point values that got tacked on with lower point values. So the ranges and some other damage values outputs are scaled towards something better than what it should be. They're not really scaled for a multi dial sort of situation. And if they fully were, and in all honesty, I think our experiences with multi-point dials would be different, and here's why. We would have to say, like, hey, we have a character, we have multiple point values, we have 12 total clicks on the dial, and then we have dial number 1 is 4 to 5 clicks, and dial number 2 is 4 to 5 clicks. And so in between is these 2 KOs, and the 2 starting lines represent 2 different numbers. And then if we had something like that, then yeah, it would be a lot more cost appropriate, but we don't. But hey, WizKids will probably steal my idea anyway. So going back, we can see, like, hey, we got all these little cheap dudes, and all of a sudden, boom, 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 in comes somebody with super strength in an object, and you know, the whole crew got murked. Now, somebody's going to probably come back and say, but hey, Dark Logos, with the amount of points that you have in Pog generation and this, that, and the other, you should be able to swarm the field with a bunch of different things. And this is when we're going to go and look into the future. Okay, because, you know, you were wondering, like, would I still stay on message? Okay, and this is definitely going longer than I plan to. So this is going to be a little bit longer episode, people. Going into the future, the main problem that we're going to have with all these low point guys is, number one, actions. We got like 6 guys on a field, 7 guys on a team. What are you going to do? They're not getting free actions. Okay, so let's take Iron Man for example. Why does he work? Because if I just need a low point attacker taxi, and I need a wild card too, this 45 point Iron Man with a 6 range and a leadership and a 9 movement is useful. And if I want to make sure they can perpetually taxi and, you know, get people that are summoning ID cards, you know, off the field, I can push him a click 2, okay? Still make sure that he's a 10 attack, 3 damage using RCE, and then have him sidestep all day with the energy shield deflection, okay? He's still useful, okay? I mean, if I need the leadership on the first click, I have it. I can just roll leadership. I don't need to do the place an action token on the opposing character within range and line of fire. I can completely ignore that. I can roll leadership. He's useful. If I don't have 2 figures on my team that have leadership and I'm packing 6 or more figures on my force, then I'm wasting time. I'm wasting time. And this is why I want to emphasize as saying I'm wasting time. You, in a standard 300 point game, we all know you have 3 actions per turn. Okay? Now, if I have 6 figures, that means on this turn, these 3 act. And then on this other turn, you can say the next turn, the other 3 act. If I ever am in a situation where I need a guy that needs to act on 1 turn and then act on the next turn as well, that means there is 1 figure that spent 2 turns doing absolutely nothing. Now, if that character has Empower Enhancement or some other cool little thing that he gets to sit there and look pretty and does things for my team, then good. He doesn't consume actions. But that's like 0.1% of the figures in this game that do that. Okay? So, because 0.1% of the figures in this game do that, i.e. Henry, and i.e. Colossal Retaliator Adam, okay, the rest of the figures in this game have to actively do something, whether it's carrying, moving around, attacking, putting up barrier, you know, making sure that their special power is in effect, you know, knocking people into walls if you're called Frogman. They need to be doing something. Now, if I then have to say, hey, I have to have the ability to have my movement actions, or at least my attacks, not count against me. Now, if I don't have my attacks count against me, then yeah, that can be really OP really fast, i.e. drones. Okay? But if I don't have my movement counting against me, then stuff like Avengers TA, Justice League TA, and what certain pogs have is really useful because it allows to utilize positioning, not so much allowing the individual just to have a bunch of free attacks because they generated a bunch of spam. Okay, so now you're severely limiting the amount of figures that are playable in this, hey, I got a bazillion little dudes type meta. Now, I know some of you might say, hey, Dark Logos, these guys are good fillers. They're good fillers. They're not there to take on primary roles. They're good fillers. They're there to help me fill out my team with little minute stuff, and little nuances. And then I would be like, that's great, guy, if it wasn't for the fact that whole comic rosters have been designed in this fashion. Whole comic rosters have been designed in this fashion without providing multiple leadership, some sort of bonus that allows for movement that doesn't count against your action total, or just flat out saying, hey, if you have Iron Man with Black Widow and Black Panther from this set together, you get 2 extra movements, and one of your attacks this turn from one of these 3 characters doesn't count towards your action total. Like, you could easily set that up. Easily. And I mean, like, that's a very specific requirement. So let's just say this. All right, from the Captain America Civil War starter set. Let's just say I went full on. I went bam. I paid 95 points for Iron Man. I paid boom, 95 points for Black Widow. Then I went bam. I paid 95 points for Black Widow. I paid 45 points for Black Panther, and I played 45 points for Black Widow. Okay, bam, I'm at 185. All right. So now I'm going to go into my main Captain America Civil War set. Then I'm going to add myself Falcon. No, not Falcon. I'm going to add myself a Red Wing. All right. Then I'm going to add myself Ant-Man. There we go. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 figures. I have 5 figures right there. If I just was able to say, like, hey, you know, I could put myself a full round table in there. If I wanted to, it would be dumb, but but thematic. Okay, I got a full round table. Boom, I'm 295. All right, I'm an Avengers theme team. +5. Okay. All right, so boom, this is not bad. I mean, it's not going to win a rock, but it's not bad. Okay, so now what? I've got these low point guys. I got Iron Man trying to win it all for the team. Okay, if I just was able to say, like, you know, hey, I got Iron Man doesn't have willpower, Black Panther doesn't have willpower, Black Widow does, Red Wing doesn't have willpower, and Ant-Man doesn't have willpower. So I can, my little fulcrum character is going to be Black Widow, and I'm going to have her dance all around here and stuff. If I was just able to say, like, hey, one of my attacks during this turn doesn't count because I have Iron Man, Black Widow, and Black Panther for pro registration, then let's just say this, like, I'd be able to attack with Iron Man, Black Panther, Black Widow, and Ant-Man. Or I could just say, like, I could pick a different bonus of like Iron Man's movement. If Iron Man, Black Panther, or Black Widow take a move action, it doesn't count against my actions this turn. Or they get to move and not get a token put on them. You know, cool stuff like that. But it would be very specific and very in set. Then I'm like, oh yeah, great. But when we're going back and we're looking in particular, we start looking at our JSA buddies and their little abilities, where we're starting to see some problems. Hey, Green Arrow, you borrow my defense, that would be great. But hey, you know, I get to modify that character's defense by +1 against range attacks. Yay, if you borrow my defense. But if I attack, I'm 40 points, and I'm a 17 defense, so it's really not that useful unless you sort of do some weirdness. But anyway, so like, hey, all right, so let's take this Green Arrow, for example. All right, so Green Arrow's there. He's taking shots. So I can have 2 Green Arrows on my team, and then I can have, let's just say, a Spectre, because we know he has a 19, so everybody's going to be taking Spectre's defense. Okay, and I'm just spamming attacks with, let's say, 3 Green Arrows. Those 3 Green Arrows attacked. Let's say one of them hit. All right, great. Now I can't do anything else. I can't do anything with Spectre, and I can't do anything with the other points that I spent because, hey, 3 Green Arrows. Oh gosh, this is sad saying this. 3 Green Arrows is just 120 points. It's not even half your build. Now, for some of you, be like, that's great, because now I can use a Green Arrow ID card with my little guys, and then I can summon in a Green Arrow, and he can make an attack, and it's great. Like, yeah, I mean, that is sort of great. But when you start looking at it in a concept of a team, those characters together, It just doesn't work in a JSA team. Now, there's nothing else in the JSA that I've seen so far that has allowed them any sort of like group bonus other than for defense. Okay, just nothing. So Wildcat doesn't have leadership. Our man, yep, he doesn't have leadership. The Atom sure the heck doesn't have leadership. Hawkman doesn't. Sandman doesn't. Spectre doesn't. Green Lantern doesn't. So yeah, what are you going to do? You got all these guys together on a team, but again, at the same time, just go back and look at them. 4 clicks of health, one-shotted by ultra heavy. By a character with a heavy. Wildcat, one-shotted by anybody with ultra heavy. Our man, actually Wildcat, you're 6 clicks, so you can have a chance of making a sequel. Our man, you're most likely dead. The Atom, you're definitely dead. Hawkman, you're definitely dead. Green Arrow, you're definitely dead. Flash, you're dead. You died to Iron or somebody. So anyway, what are we looking out for? What are we looking out for? And I know this has gone on for a bit, so I'm going to start wrapping up. The first key thing that I say that going forward, what we're going to be looking out for is this: how is WizKids going to handle actions? That's the biggest thing. So anybody that's able to increase your action pool, minus Faust and Strange with their D20s, but anybody that's able to increase their action pool is really good. Anything that allows you to get free actions in terms of movements and attacks is going to be a lot more powerful than originally thought. Anybody that's able to provide a sort of reset in the middle of the turn, which will allow for a character to act again with some other penalty, could be really strong as well. Any more characters like Justin Zephyr would be ridiculous, because then it would completely devalue all these little small point guys. Completely devalue. If we get anybody that acts like Mole Man or Zephyr, and really Zephyr, because Zephyr doesn't have to roll to make an attack, we're in trouble. We're in a lot of trouble. Because then we can start looking at, all right, provide a pit crew for X figure, and then send it out, have it attack, and then attack again. And in both of those attacks, it pretty much just one-shots figures. So there's a concern there. Anyway, so there's that. The next thing is what are we going to start seeing with support? Because we're already starting to see some pit crew support figures come in. Are we going to see more pit crew support figures come in? Are we going to see more characters that are like Spider Knight, like, hey, everybody adjacent to me has energy shield deflection, except for me, so protect me, or hey, everybody adjacent to me has super senses on a 6, or impervious on a 6, or stuff like that some of the metal men have. Also, another thing that we really need to, find out is like, hey, if there is going to be a revamp to theme teams. If this is something that WizKids is still internally testing and trying to set up, trying to give action advantages to theme teams, or giving attack advantages to theme teams, or doing other things to name theme teams that allow them to be like focal points again, then I can say, yeah, some of the current trends of where we're going is not bad. It actually is good. It allows us to, prepare for the future by getting used to having a lot of figures on the board, and then having all of a sudden it being made easier. But here's the big kicker, I think, looking forward, is this. If there are no other standard changes and this continues the way it is without any major rules changes, any figure that has a printed 3 damage and higher with super strength is strong. Period. Point blank. Okay? Any figure they printed 3 damage and super strength is strong, whether it's hypersonic speed, super strength, or even charge super strength. Those two power combinations are strong. Even if you had a printed 2 damage and you were over 100 points and you had super strength, as long as you can figure out a way of dealing 5 damage, you're going to kill a good chunk of the figures in the figure pool. You just are. I was already concerned when the dial started shifting down to 6 clicks from 7 and 8. But now we're looking at dials shifting down from 6 down to 5 and 4. And even to 3. So there's things to be concerned about. Yes, the point values are going down. And some figures are the cost of some old pogs. But, like, in all fairness, just keep in mind that I think WizKids is trying to do something positive, but I don't think it's going to turn out that way. I think there's going to be a lot of backlash from these decisions. I think in the major backlash that's really going to come up is people tired of really quick games where Charge Flurry just wiped out a whole team, or Charge Flurry and Barrier and alternating Barrier with a Taxi is a major tactic, or people looking at ways of just keeping themselves like huddled in so that they're not getting hit by melee. So they're not doing anything but denying the melee attacker an option to an attack. So there's stuff like that, I think, that where it would be scary if WizKids just was like, yeah, here's all these cheap guys. Because anybody that's going to start playing these cheap guys are going to then start looking at either filling a bunch of these cheap guys, or also filling like 1 or 2 of these cheap guys with somebody that's really expensive. And so the question comes in is like, hey, we start looking at some of this utility that we've been given, lately, we can start to see some problems here. 15-point perplex. 15-point perplex. I mean, heck, 25-point perplex before was bad. But now 15-point perplex, 25-point outwit, 25-point prob. I mean, 25-point prob has been floating around for a while. But the 20, and so has the 25-point outwit, which is Jewel, if you didn't know. But the 15-point perplex, yeah, that's when they really start messing up. So, all right, that's it. Thank you all for listening. You can follow me on Twitter at StartOverPod. It came from outer space and told me, man, you're really late taking your bronchitis medicine. You're starting to feel it, man. You can follow me on Twitter and find out when the new latest episodes is. My phone doesn't have the little Twitter app working right, so I haven't been on the Twitters. You can email me at startingoverpodcast@gmail.com. That's startingoverpodcast@gmail.com if you wish to opine. Keep it piffy, keep it interesting, keep it awesome, baby. If you would want to go over a team with me, or practice, or get some further heroclix insight, I do paid tutelage, and it's $5 for a game and then $10 for an hour. Just me working with you, making you a better player. You can also get a t-shirt, Starting Over Podcast t-shirt, link is below. And you also can get a Phoenix Nest t-shirt if you want to support Phoenix Nest. I really got to say, things lately in the team have gotten really good since October. We didn't perform that great as a team, but with the new addition and just some like renewed fervor to become better, I think we're moving in a great direction. We're moving in a really, really good direction. Make folks, I think this upcoming year is going to be a really good year. for the team. So also we did recruit PJ Bolin towards Phoenix Nest. He was a top player at Nationals this year, and so I'm looking forward to his interaction with the team and his impacts. So yeah, that's about it. So I need to actually take my medicine. So thank you all for listening, and remember, we all have to start over sometime.